to do with them, if that made any sense. And guys don't really understand what cheating does to a woman. It fucks me up. Like
it's time to boss up. Fix your credit, girl, get at it, get your bag up. Hit that gym and get back fine. Go get that degree, go girl, focus on me. Unlock potential that you didn't know you had in you. Fuck that nigga. Oh yeah, it's time to mix it up and get your glow, girl. I know that you gon' get it, you got so much. Don't let nobody tell you that it's over. I want you to know that, girl, you got it, you got it. Oh yeah, 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 you got it, you.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Life of Tan. Before I get into this story time, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and hit that notification bell to be notified whenever I post a video. This story time is going to be a bit different from my last story time. It's a little bit more intimate, I'd say. It's about... it's kind of a hard topic for me to talk about actually, but do you know what? I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to share it with you guys. It's about how I thought I fell in love and realised that I wasn't in love, but I was more in lust. Let's call this ex Douglas. I met Douglas back in 2009. And he was so charming with his words. Like, he was quite street, which I like a little bit of that, you know. Most girls do like a little bit of a street, you know, guy or whatever. But yeah, he was quite street and handsome as well, like really good to look at. And he had a lot of the charm, but it was the cheeky charm that he had. And it was really appealing to me. So he does music, which he's really good at, and he asked me to, I was doing music as well. So at one point I walked into the studio with my daughter and he was there, you know, didn't think nothing of it. He didn't think anything of it either. And he asked our producer, he told our producer that he wanted to find a female to do some vocals on his track. It was just a little vocal, it wasn't anything major. So he wanted, you know, a girlfriend wanted to do it, and obviously at the time I was one of the only females going to the studio, so I laid just a really minuscule vocal on his track. And he obviously was happy with the vocals that was laid, so he wanted to thank me. So he reached out to our producer to get my number so he could thank me, and we started speaking from there. He would, you know, give it all of that, you know, cheeky shit, like, you know, how quick he is down there and all of that. And obviously I was kind of giving it back, like, really? Okay. You know, they all say that, and then most of the time it's like, you ain't rocking with anything. That's another story time, because, mate. Okay. So one day I was like, do you know what? Since you've got all of this, you know, let's do the damn thing. So we met up and he came to my house, and I actually picked him up. And he came to my house and we had a few drinks, had something to eat, and then we kind of got it cracking, as you know, grown folks do. It was good and everything. Like, I didn't have any complaints with it or anything like that. You know, it was good. He was, at that point, I'd say he was like somebody, like, we started to develop a friendship. So we would speak a lot, and we would, you know, be on the phone for hours and stuff like that. Then, you know, us as women, like, once you get sexual with a guy, and it could be just one time, but you start to feel this kind of connection, right? So I was starting to get emotionally attached, whereas he wasn't getting emotionally attached at all at that point. And that's when I realized that I actually was starting to really like him, because I wanted it to be more, and I think he was still in his element of, you know, running around, seeing all these girls, doing all of that kind of stuff. Like, it wasn't anything where he was ready to be in a committed relationship. Well, that's what I got from it anyway at that point. So as you do, you know, you're going along with the flow, and especially, you know, girls, when you like a guy and you know he's not really ready to be in a relationship, but you stay there anyway because you're like, you know what, one day he's gonna be ready, and you know, I'm gonna be that one. Because at that point, like, I was getting over Julius, and he was kind of like that output for me to be like, okay, cool, you know, I can move on. There are other guys out there, you know, who I would be attracted to like that. So anyway, you know, things started to progress, and then I fell pregnant. And at this point, obviously, I didn't want any more kids. I had one, my oldest daughter, and I weren't ready for any more kids at that point, and he didn't want any kids at that point either. I mean, remember, our relationship wasn't established or anything like that at that point, so he wasn't really feeling it, and neither was I. So I did, you know, the dreaded thing that most women don't want to do, but most of the time we have no choice but to do. But I had a termination. I know some people are going to hate me for that, but it is what it is. It was my life at the point, and I wasn't ready to have another kid. I know you guys will probably be like, you know, you should have been more responsible and stuff like that. Yeah, I should have been, but I wasn't, and you know, that's just the nature of the beast. So I did that, and we carried on seeing each other, and things just started to really progress. Like, I really started to develop some serious feelings for this guy. So, you know, it was like, if he didn't call me, I would feel some type of way. If he didn't text me, I feel some type of way. And it got to a point where I was like, I must really like this guy, because I wouldn't be feeling like this otherwise. So I remember one day we were in bed, we just finished having sex, and I said to him, you know, like, what is this? What are we, kind of thing? And he said the same thing that, you know, most guys always turn around and say, like, it you know, it is what it is right now. Like, I don't want a relationship. I don't want a girlfriend. I don't want anything like that. But at this point, he was at my house nearly every day anyway. So I kind of just sat back and was like, you know, well, I'm just gonna accept that as an answer, because, you know, I genuinely feel for this guy, and I'm hoping, like, you know, I'm hoping I'm gonna be the one that he's gonna eventually turn around and be like, right, yeah, she's the one, kind of thing. So, but then at one point I started to realize that, you know, he was still seeing loads of girls. Like, his phone was constantly popping off, you know, the same thing where the phone is upside down so you can't see who is calling, you know, text messages at ridiculous times and stuff like that. So I remember one day I said to him, Douglas, like, seriously, what is that? Like, why is she texting me? Because, yeah, I did the thing that us girls shouldn't do, but we do it. Like, I went for his phone. So I said, you know, why is she messaging you? Like, you know, she was saying, like, oh, she said something like, I miss you, and what did she say again? She was like, oh, yeah, that's it. She was like, I miss you. When am I going to see you again? And I'm like, hold on a minute. What do you mean, see you again? Like, I thought me and you was rocking together like that. Okay, cool. We're not in an official relationship, but I thought me and you were seeing each other like that, you know? And you never believe what this guy did. He literally picked up his phone. Well, before he picked up his phone, he said to me, she's nothing, like, she's just a fuck, basically, you know, it's nothing like that. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, you know, kick up a stink as us girls do, trying to put our stamp on what we think is ours, and rare. So he then picked up the phone, called the girl, and said to her, what are we? And I'm looking at him like, what did you? Okay, are you really gonna do that? She's like, what do you mean? And he's like, what are we? Do we not just fuck? And she was just like, yeah, but you know, and he was like, right, that's it, end of. And hung up on her. So I'm like, is that how he's dealing with females? So is that how he sees me? And it put a little bit of insecurity in my head, because I'm thinking to myself, okay, so if she was so easily disposable, then maybe I'll be so easily disposable as well. It really got me thinking. But at this point, I felt like I was falling in love with this guy. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to persevere through. Like, literally, he must feel the same way about me one day, because, you know, he must see that my intentions are true. And then I fell pregnant again with my son. And at that point, he didn't want to have a child. And I was like, well, you know, I'm not having another termination. Like, you know, if you want to be there for your child, then that's fine. And if you don't, I totally understand. You know, I didn't want to try and force a child on anybody. That's just not what you should do in it. I was growing up and I made my bed, so, you know, I had to lie in it, kind of thing. So I was like, right, I'm going ahead with pregnancy. So we stopped speaking, and it really hurt my heart that we stopped speaking at that point, because, as I said, I was really falling for this guy. So I was about 7 weeks and we hadn't spoken. I think I found out I was pregnant when I was like 3 weeks, so we hadn't spoken for about 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks we hadn't spoken. And then I called him one day and I was like, you know what, I need to speak to you. You know, I'm still pregnant and I'm not getting rid of the baby, and I just want you to know that, you know, I'm keeping this baby. And he said to me, oh, you know, I'm going to come around to your house and we'll have a conversation about it, blah, blah. I think he was trying to, you know, persuade me not to keep the baby, but, you know, that wasn't in my cards. I was keeping my son. Well, we didn't know his way at the time, but, you know, we were speaking. And so he came to my house, he tried to talk me out of it, kind of, in an indirect type of way, and he realised that, you know, I wasn't budging on it, and we had an in-depth conversation about it, and he was like, you know, if you're going to do it, that's fine, but, you know, I'm going to be there with you doing it, which made me really happy, because obviously nobody wants to raise their children without the dad. Like, nobody wants to do that. Nobody actually signs up to be a single parent. Nobody does that. You go into motherhood or even fatherhood thinking that, you know, the person who you're going to have a child with is going to be your person, kind of thing. So I was like, right, this is the one, because for me he was the one. Like, I had no, there was just nobody else for me at that point. So, you know, he was there throughout my whole pregnancy. You know, we got like a house on fire. Like, he was one of my bestest friends, I'd say, at that point. And he rocked with me through that pregnancy, and I appreciated that, because my pregnancy with my daughter was like quite hard. Like, I didn't really have that element of it. He was there at the birth of our son, and then literally he was like stuck like glued to this boy. Like, it was his first son, so he was stuck like glued to his son, and our relationship was just, you know, going forward. But there was still the cheating elements there, and you know, you think you can turn a blind eye to the cheating, because you think, okay, one day I'm gonna be the person that he wants me to be, or I'm gonna be the one that's gonna stop him from cheating. And you know, you keep thinking like that, because you always want to be that one to make him stop cheating, or to make him, you want something to happen where he realizes that, you know, you're the one for him because he's the one for you, kind of thing. So skip, you know, 2 years in, you know, I feel like I start to slowly lose a bit of the bubbly me. I felt like I was being emotionally beaten down, and that's not necessarily because of him. It was just because he was quite a volatile person, and I'm quite a volatile person. So you always got to have someone in a relationship who's willing to back down, and that wasn't him. He's not that type of character where he's going to back down. So I always felt like I would have to be the one to back down. But in doing that, I lost a little bit of me, like a minuscule of myself. And I felt like I started to disappear. And I always felt, not always, but I felt sad because, you know, I would still see the text messages because I was still going through his phone at that point. I don't know why I was doing it, but I just was. And I could see, you know, other girls out there feeling for him the way that I was feeling for him. And that was hurting me, like, deeply hurting me, like hurting my soul kind of thing. Like, it wasn't a nice feeling at all. And it's like, the more time we spent together is the more I was loving him, and trying to be the best person that I could be to try and make the relationship sustain and for us to grow and be a family and all of that kind of stuff. And he was a good guy in his own right. You know, he was very protective. You know, he would never see any harm come to me. He would never see any harm come to his son. He was just always, you know, like that. And as I said, he was like my best friend because I could tell him anything, you know, like literally any issue I'd phone him, and, you know, he'd sit there. I know he didn't want to listen to it, but at that point he would just like kind of humour me, you know, like just listen to whatever I had to say because the weight starts to pile on, right? So I started, because there was no one else for me, it was only him. So I didn't care. Like, I didn't care because I didn't have eyes for anybody else. I didn't want to be with anybody else. Like, I wanted, at that point, I felt like he was my soulmate. Like, there, I would see a fucking banging guy just say in front of me. And I'd look at him and I'd be like, you ain't got anything on my Douglas kind of thing. And I'd play like I was a ride or die. Like, it was that for me, you know, and I felt like it was that for him, but in his own way. And he just, but in ways he didn't know how to show it. I mean, yeah, I would have sex and stuff like that, but it was hard for me having sex with him because I knew he was having sex with other people. And that was hard to wrap your head around. As a woman, you know, you women, you will relate to it. Like, when you know your guy's cheating or sleeping with other people, you don't want to say to him, no, you're not going to have sex with him, because you know he's just going to go right back to where he came from. And because he was a good looking guy, he had ladies in abundance, innit? So you kind of think to yourself, you know, there's no way I cannot have sex with him. He's just going to go and fuck everybody else, that kind of thing. So I kind of kept that up, but it's not because not saying I didn't want to. Of course I wanted to, but it was more like a, there was thoughts in my head whilst we were doing that. Fast forward maybe 6 years into the relationship, things weren't really getting better, I would say. I mean, he was still cheating. He never really stopped. I just think he got better at covering his tracks. And there were times when I'd think, do you know what? Fuck you. I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna cheat, I'm gonna fuck all these fucking motherfuckers out here and see how you like it. And I had times where I'd be like, you know, you get a message on Facebook or whatever, and you know, the guy's talking about, oh yeah, you're cute, blah blah, and you think, do you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. But I had that element of me of loyalty, and I didn't want to do that because I didn't want him to feel how I felt when I was finding out about all the, you know, the cheating and stuff like that. So I kind of just, like, as I said before, like, just persevered through it and just said to myself, do you know what, one day in time he's gonna stop. He has to stop. He's gonna realize what he's got. You know, he's gonna realize that, you know, you're the one for him. Like, you're sticking with him through everything. And we had some serious rough times, but we had some seriously good times as well. And I just felt like, you know, one day he'd realize that you're the one for him, and he would pull his socks up. And then when he pulls his socks up, you'll come out of that little rut that you're in, and the attitude that you throw every now and again, because you're keeping things deep within, but you can't really voice them because you don't want to start an argument. And now you know that argument could possibly lead to him leaving. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to argue. I just wanted him to just realize that I was hurting at some points, and for him to kind of say to me, do you know what, Tan, it's okay, and you know, I'm sorry. But I never really got that sorry. I never got the acknowledgement of, you know, I know that I've fucked up and I hurt you deeply to your core, but you know, I'm gonna do better. I never got that. And I went through years of feeling like that, and I went through years of hiding things from a lot of people in a sense of my real true feelings, because I didn't want to be a statistic. I didn't want to be another single black mother out here, you know, trying to make it work on her own and having kids and the dad's not there. I didn't want that. I didn't want that for me. I didn't want that for my kids. I didn't want any of that. Anyway, fast forward, we were trying to have a baby again, and I got pregnant again with my baby girl. And it was, she was really wanted it. We wasn't trying not to have her, but at that point, I don't know if our relationship was over. I don't know if our relationship was dead. But we weren't sleeping together that much. And it was just on one occasion. We were still in a relationship, but I can't explain it, but my baby was conceived. And during that time, I had a really hard pregnancy. Like, it was just really hard, especially up until the point when we broke up. It was just really hard. I felt really sick. I wasn't myself. And I was still fighting so much emotions when it comes to being pregnant, and, you know, just wanting him to kind of be there. But hold on, at this point, we were actually engaged. We were supposed to get married. When I think about it, it's just really, it really upsets me. But anyway, that's another story time. I won't go into that right now. But yeah, so my pregnancy was really hard. And I remember one day we had a really huge argument, and he said some really foul things to me. And I was just about to start a new job at that point. And I just didn't have any more fight in me, like to save this relationship. I just didn't have it because my pregnancy was so bad. I was sick to my core. I was throwing up every day. I was just, and I felt so alone. Like, I've never felt so alone like that before in my whole life. Like, I was like, I'm pregnant with a baby that we both wanted, and I feel like I'm alone. And I feel really sad, and I feel really emotional. And I don't know what he was feeling because he never really told me what he was feeling. I mean, at points I would write him letters and stuff like that. I even turned to drink, this is before my pregnancy, because I was so depressed. Like, I just wanted him to love me, if that makes any sense, because I felt like I'd given him so much love and so much of myself that I was like owed that. Like, you know, I gave you me. Like, I lost parts of me because I was trying to fit into the mold that I thought that he was trying to set for me to fit into. So I wanted that love back. Like, that's all I was really asking for, is to get that love back. And if I felt like I was getting that back, then the world really would have been our oyster. Anyway, we broke up when I was 7 weeks pregnant. And we broke up, I didn't want to. It was more a case of I had to, because there's no way he could have wanted to be there. His actions and, you know, with everything that was going on, there's just no way that he could have physically wanted to be there. I mean, there's no way. He wasn't there. he was there in body, but he wasn't there in mind. Like, he just was elsewhere. And I could feel that. And, you know, one day I sent a text and I said, you know, I think maybe we should break up and blah, blah, you know, the whole spiel. And in my heart of hearts, I really wanted him to turn around and say to me, Ty, no, I don't want that. And I wanted him to kind of fight for our relationship, because I felt like we spent the best part of 8 years together. So fighting for our relationship is what I wanted him to do, because that's what I wanted to do. I was pregnant at the time as well. Like, who wants to be pregnant on their own? Like, it's just, you know. But he didn't do that, and he walked away. And I'm not going to keep anyone who doesn't want to be kept. So he walked away, and obviously he was there through the pregnancy, but I felt really alone. And I felt like there was times that I didn't mate. There was times that I felt like I didn't want to let me take a drink. There were times that I felt like I didn't want to be here anymore, because I had all these feelings and I didn't know what to do with them, if that made any sense. And guys don't really understand what cheating does to a woman. It fucked me up. It made me feel like I wasn't worth anything. It made me feel like I wasn't good enough. It beating at my self-esteem, where I didn't have any anymore. And you know, you keep hoping and hoping and hoping that this person is going to change and want to be with you the way you want to be with them, but it didn't happen. So fast forward, I had my daughter, and he was there at the birth. I didn't expect anything less, because the one thing I have to say about Douglas is he loves his kids. So he was there, and his mum was there as well, and I was happy for that, because, you know, I knew that my kids still had their dad, does that make sense? So fast forward, I had my baby girl, and, you know, I went through postpartum because I was on my own. I felt like I didn't have anyone. I had someone there who I wanted to be with, but I didn't want to tell him that I wanted to be with him, because I was very prideful. So I was just like, no, I'm not going to say that. You know, maybe it's just your hormones, Tan. You know, you can do much better, in a sense of you don't want to put yourself through that anymore. But in my sorry, there's fluff everywhere. In my heart of hearts, I did want to put myself through that, because I felt like I was in love with this fucking guy. Like, he was the love of my life at that point. Like, he was my soulmate. I couldn't stop thinking about him. Like, girls, you know when you've got a guy and you just can't stop thinking about him? That was him for me. I couldn't let him go. Like, I really, really couldn't let him go. And I felt like I was holding on to something, and that's what kind of messed me up. And that's what made it so hard for me to get over him. So fast forward, my baby girl's 1, and you know, we're co-parenting, and you know, sorry, there's so much fluff on my face. It's just, is this pillow? Really? Anyway, we're co-parenting. We have my baby girl's birthday party. You know, we're all together, like, you know, one big happy family. And I start hearing like all these other stuff through the grapevine, which pissed me off, obviously. You know, that he's living with somebody, and that he's, you know, just fucking around town as he does, kind of thing. But it was still hurting me. The parts of it that was hurting me wasn't the fact that he was fucking around town or anything like that, because he wasn't my dude anymore. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I still loved him, but he wasn't my guy. So that's not the parts that were hurting me. The parts that were hurting me is the fact that he was still my best friend. And I had lost the love relationship, but the love relationship in relation to him being my best friend was still there. So I felt like, you know, I would be told these things through the grapevine. Like, he'll come to me and be like, Tang, you know, this is what's going on. I know me, you don't fuck around like that, but, you know, besides of you being my baby mum, like, you're my bestie, like, we talk about everything. I'm gonna let you know this, I don't want anybody else to let you know. He didn't do that, and I had other people coming to tell me and stuff, and that fucked me up again. Like, because I just felt like, I would never do that stuff to you. Like, I would never treat you like this. But then that just showed me that there was no respect. And then fast forward, I then find out through the grapevine, well, not through the grapevine, but he broke it to me, like, on what he was ranting about something else, that he was actually having a baby. And that fucked me up. Because remember, guys, at this point, our baby that we had was literally about, I don't know, how old was she when I found out? About 15 months old or something like that. And I never really got time to deal with our breakup and all of that kind of stuff. So that ignited emotions for me still, that I still cared for him, like I thought I did, kind of thing. And by the time he had broken that news to me, his girlfriend was like, well, about 7 months pregnant, but I didn't know any of this, you know. So me there again, I'm hurt, because I'm like, why are you not telling me these things? Like, why am I the last to know all of these things? Like, this shit can't, why? Like, if you want us to have a good relationship, then surely we should be honest and open with each other. I know it's your personal life and that, but when it impedes on my life as well, we should be honest with each other, no? No? Okay. So, fast forward, literally, the day that he told me that, you know, he was having a baby was on the day that we was actually supposed to get married. And, well, it was like an anniversary kind of thing, so we would have been technically married on that day if we had got married. And 2 months later, his girlfriend had the baby. That was hard for me, just because I didn't have enough time to adjust or to deal with it. I felt like it was all thrown on me, and I'm not good in situations like that, when things are just like thrown on me and stuff like that. So, you know, I was still dealing with a lot of stuff, like personally, internally with myself, and it's still, that fucked up my confidence and self-esteem even more. Something that I was trying to get over that stuff, and it kind of like fucked with me a little bit more. But now I'm happy for him, and you know, I've seen his daughter, well, not in person, in pictures, and she's beautiful. So, you know, my kids have another sibling, and co-parenting right now is quite hard. You know, girls, when we're angry, we don't really react in the best way, and if you're dealing with two people who are like hard-headed, you're not really going to get anywhere. But you know, that doesn't take away the fact that he's still my kid's dad and I'm their mum, and at some point we were in something together to make these two kids. But I now know my worth, if that makes any sense. I now know that what I felt for him, I know I said in the beginning that it wasn't love, but now that I'm thinking about it and I hear myself talking, it actually was, it was something. And I don't actually ever really feel that that feeling will ever really go away. It just kind of like, you kind of deal with that, if that makes sense. So, no, I'm not in love with Douglas. No, I don't love Douglas, but I care for him because he's my kid's dad as well, you know. I wouldn't want to see any harm come to him or anything like that. But just the way he made me feel about myself at times, like he didn't make me feel like he cared enough. That's what I want to say to you ladies, like, know your worth. Know that you are, oh fuck's sake, know that you are worth so much more than we sometimes put up with. Know that if you have kids and you're a single mum, you can push through it. Like, it's not the end of the world. I mean, yeah, we have days where we're really sad and we wish, you know, our families could be together, because that's what anybody really wishes for. Everybody wishes that they could have, you know, the father of their kids or the mother of their kids all together. Everybody wishes that, but that's not always how it is in an ideal world. But I will say, again, know your worth and know that some things happen that you don't actually need to put up with. And if things are happening and you're not happy with it, maybe vocalize it. Because I have sat down and thought, well, not now, but you know, before that, maybe if I had been a bit more vocal, you never know where we'd be today. I don't think we'd be together, but you know, maybe we would have a friendship, because not only did I lose a boyfriend or, you know, a life partner, so to speak, but I lost one of my best friends, and I don't really have best friends that much, so I've only got maybe 2 that I can think of. So he was one of them, and that severing that tie was the hardest tie for me to break, because I didn't have that element of being able to pick up the phone and call and all of that. So I would say, if you can be vocal and if you can speak your mind, and if you can, or if you feel strong enough to make that person know how their actions are affecting you, then do it, because sometimes there's more to lose than just the sexual part of a relationship, especially if you spend an X amount of time with that person. But love is real. And you know, I'm not eager to rush into love again. I feel like that was a really traumatic experience for me, and I don't want to experience another traumatic experience like that again, just because the healing process for me was long. It took about 3 years for me to truly heal from that situation, and I don't want to feel that again. So now I'm just more on my grind, making sure that I'm good, making sure that my kids are good, and just making sure that I can be the best person that I can be for myself and for my future partner. Well, I am seeing someone at the moment, but until you act correct, like proper correct, you don't get that label, unfortunately, because I gave that label away too easily before, and look where I am now. So yes, ladies, moral of my story is, love is real, don't fight love. But if you feel that you're in a relationship and, you know, you're giving more than the other person is giving, maybe sometimes it's good to walk away, because in the long run, you're going to save yourself all that heartache. Anyway, with that being said, I know this has been a very long story time, so it's probably going to go up in parts. But like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I will be doing a vlog with the kids, so you'll get to see the kiddies pretty soon. I want everybody to keep safe out there, and I will see you again.